Ever lost a sale because a prospect said, I just need 24 hours? You're not alone. This common objection could be costing you thousands of dollars each and every month in commissions. Imagine flipping those 24-hour objections into a steady stream of closes. How? By learning the actual skills on how to overcome that objection. In today's video, I'll be going over the exact things you need to do to be able to conquer this objection once and for all. And the best part is we'll be dissecting a real life sales call where one of my students gets that objection and I walk you through step by step how to actually overcome it. Now, breaking down calls has helped me generate over $60,000 per month in commissions myself and allowed me to help hundreds of closers double and triple their sales. Why? Because dealing with real life sales calls, you're dealing with actual situations. You're not just stuck in theory. Bit of context for the call. My student sells a biz op offer that helps people get and start their own Airbnb business. Ready to transform your sales game? Grab a pen because we're about to take a deep dive into this call. Take notes and watch your sales soar. All right, bro, let's take a listen to this call. One thing, I know you said you wanted me to take a look at the objection handling. And I did skim through the discovery a bit, and I will say your comfortability and like you navigating the conversations, it's a lot better. So it's like kudos to you. One thing I did hear, like especially if we're needing to drive urgency and we're needing to really make sure we create that. You just have to understand, especially when you're drilling into somebody's consequence, understand where their real consequence is that's going to create the urgency. Okay, so let's take a listen to your consequence, which again was good, right? But like let's talk about how do we get it to great so we get a lot of this urgency and fear out of the way first so that we don't have to deal with it at the end. So let's take a listen here, just real quick.
And that's fine, because that's why you're here. But if we actually focus on like what we're running away from, it gives us a lot crystal clear of an image to actually get there faster. So for you, if we continue to be fearful, kind of having that fear of rejection, not being able to take the first steps and get resourceful so that we can start a business, ultimately move out of our parents and become independent, like what would be the consequences of us living at home, staying down the 9-to-5 path for the next 2, 5, 10 years?
Staying in the same spot, not being able to have that financial freedom I want, not being able to hold myself down on my own 2 feet, on my own merit, on my own dime, having to rely on someone, having to feel like a burden.
Yeah. Are you willing to sell for that?
Okay, so we got a pretty good answer, right? Like I don't want to rely on other people. I feel like a burden, that type of thing. So first and foremost, we need to take it that layer deeper. Well, what would you feeling like a burden even look like? What would be the day-to-day ramifications of you feeling like a burden every single day? And especially with young people, because like this lady, she's 19. Okay, she's looking to again get her own business up and going. But if we make the consequences 2 years, 5 years, 10 years out, when she's 40, when she's double the age she is now, in their mind, that is so far away. So the thing we want to do is we want to bring them to the point where the consequence, like we have like maybe a long-term consequence, like, hey, 2, 5, 10 years. Yes, drill down into that. But then also drill down into, but what happens tomorrow if we wake up, we look into the mirror, and we know that we're not on the right path to actually get that financial freedom because we didn't take the steps required. That's where we need to get to. That's where the real pain is, and that's what's going to create that urgency. It's not, hey, what happens 10 years down the road if you're not financially free? How would you feel tomorrow looking in the mirror, understanding you're not doing the things required to become financially free? Like, how would you feel about yourself? And are you willing to settle for that? So it's drilling deeper into that consequence. It's like, okay, what would you feeling like a burden like even feel like? And what would be the day-to-day you feeling like a burden when you know you didn't have to? Oh, it'd be this and this and this. And it's like, and I can get, and that's a bit of like long-term as far as like the consequences. But if we truly had to sit and think about it, you waking up tomorrow and you looking in the mirror, knowing that you didn't take the steps required to actually be that business owner who is financially free, and you continue just to stay the person who you have been, like how is that going to feel? And are you willing to allow that to happen? Like that's where we need to get to. That's where the real consequence is. Especially when you're dealing with young people, you have to be careful of the consequence being too far out. Because in their mind, like this lady's 19. And if we keep on going, because we
Yeah.
kind of just move on.
No, I hear you. But I guess like for you, because you're young, you're 19. Like, why look at doing something about this now? Like, I speak to 40-year-olds who are still kicking the can down the road. Why not just be one of those guys that kicks the can, waits till tomorrow, waits till next year, new year, new me? Why not just be one of those guys?
Because I don't even know if I'll make it till 40. I mean, I'm healthy. I don't have any diseases.
But again, like you see how we're pacing her out like from now to 40, or from now she's 19 versus like 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. It's just a very long gap. So just with especially with younger people, and that's just understanding the demographic, the shorter you can get the consequence, like yes, have a longer consequence, but if you can get a shorter consequence, well, what happens in a week from now if we're not on the right path, or a month, or 3 months? So that way, again, the shorter the time frame, especially with young people, is going to be better because it's going to create more urgency. Because the problem is with young people is they have no concept of time. Like that's part of the problem. They're 19, right? They don't know. Like the 10 years for them is basically half their life. So it feels so long. So if we're giving them the space that the consequences isn't going to be for like 10 years from now, then it's hard to create as much urgency. That'd just be the one thing that, again, right now at a 7, how do we get that consequence up to a 10? Number one, drill into it. What do you like? What would feeling like a burden? Well, what would being a burden even feel like? And what would be the day-to-day impact if you felt like that every single day? And that's 5-10 years down the road. But let's talk about you waking up tomorrow. Because if you really had to think about it, if you woke up tomorrow and you looked in the mirror and just you knew you weren't on the right path, you continued to be the person we have been and not the business owner we need to be. Like, how is that going to feel? So are you willing to allow that to happen? And then boom. Okay. So then now let's actually get to the nitty gritty, the objection handling, right? Because I know that's what you wanted to take a look at. Okay. So let's see where you go ahead and you drop the price.
So the last thing we have to go over is just the investment, just the tuition we were talking about. So the funding required for that, so that we can actually help you start becoming your own business owner, achieve financial freedom, and scale to that 6 figures, is just going to be $7K. So we have a couple ways of breaking that down, a couple payment plans, things to actually make sure that you can actually get into this, because we never want funding to be the issue for our clients. Once that funding is approved, we do give you a seamless onboarding experience. We get you into the training, we get you into the community, and we get you scheduled for that first one-on-one. So you have a crystal clear plan for how do we get into this first property within 90 days.
Okay.
Okay. So listen to this.
Okay.
Now we're like, okay, what is it concerned? Like, because like from the way that she says that, you can tell she's a bit uncertain. You can tell she's a bit fearful just right off the get-go from just how she said, okay. So I would just address it immediately. Just like, is everything all good with that? Or you seemed a little bit hesitant there. Now, I know you can't see her. She's on the phone. But it's just like, if you hear that, it's just calling it out immediately. That way you can get to the real objection so much quicker.
So, any questions on how that works, my dear?
Yeah. How would the funding work
Yeah, so like
for the tuition?
the tuition. So yeah. So it comes down to what works best with you. I guess like for you though, like money aside.
Okay. So it's good that, yes, she asked about the funding and we went into money, which most likely it's going to be like logistical or fair money. Just from like how she said, okay, after you drop the price, and then her asking about the funding. What's going to help you better is, especially when you're talking about in objection handling, the less we can be generic and the more we can be specific, the quicker we're going to go and the more trust we're going to have. So if they're like, oh, like the funding, like, okay, and it really just comes down to what works best for you. Is there any particular reason why you ask? And the reason why you want them to verbalize it is, number one, we don't want to be guessing when we're in objection handling. Number two, now we're also going to have her words, and we can play off of that because how she describes money or how she describes the objection is going to shift the way you go about actually handling that objection. Okay? So I'm not saying like just going right into money like it's bad, but if we want to be more precise, build more trust, we need to understand what their objection is in their own words. So that way we can take what their words are and we can be more specific with our objection handling.
Do you feel like the airpreneur would actually help you?
Could you repeat that?
Yeah. Like for you, I guess like money aside, like the tuition aside, with the airpreneur program, everything we gone over, would it actually help you?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And like I know we spoke about a little bit of why.
Okay. So we got something that is a bit of an ambiguous word. Now, it's not going to be the end of the world if we let that slide. But if right now we're looking to make sure we build certainty, we can just already tell from the way that she is speaking that she is fearful. If I allow what I think so to go by without addressing it, then it's going to be harder to help them have that certainty. So like that's the thing right now is if we understand her words and we can really shape her, shape our objection into her words, and then we don't allow ambiguous language to go by, it just shortens the objection handling. Okay? Because right now we're 33 minutes in and there's another 40 minutes of you on the call. So it's like, how can I shorten that as quick as possible? Number one, because you need to save your energy. Okay. Number two, we need to save her energy because especially if we're talking about emotional topics, change, things like that, the prospect will run out of steam. And if they run out of steam, they're just going to want to get off the call. So the more precise you can be, the better. So if you hear well, I think so. Well, you don't sound too sure. Or I think so. And that way we can just flush it out. Oh, no, it definitely would. Okay, why do you feel like it would, though? Then we're right back into it. So here, and it comes down to how we ask the question. So we asked it in a little bit more of a broad way. So therefore, we got a bit more of an ambiguous and broad answer. So just listen to how you ask it.
Yeah. Like for you, I guess like money aside, like the tuition aside, with the airpreneur program, everything we gone over, would it actually help you?
So I would either change that to would you actually do it? So it's more more pointed, like, hey, would you actually do the program? Or would it be the answer for you? Not would it help you? Because here's the thing. Would it help her? Does it get her the results? It doesn't. So you can either change it to would you do it? Would it be the answer? Or money aside, tuition aside, do you feel like with what we laid out, that would get you from where you are now to where you want to be? And make it specific to the conversation you had. So that more specific question gets you a more specific answer. But even if you do get, well, I think so, that needs to be addressed right away. Because the problem is if that's not addressed, we don't have that certainty there, that buy-in there, is going to be much harder to get the real need out of her of why she needs to do this to then overcome whatever concern she's having. Let's keep going, bro.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And like I know we spoke about a little bit of why you feel like it would actually help you, but I guess more so for you, because the second why is typically more important. Why would you actually invest in yourself to kind of start your own business?
If you're finding this video valuable and you want me to break down one of your sales calls and work one-on-one with me, check out the first link in the description. Let's dive back in.
So that I can be successful on my own and not have to depend on anybody.
Yeah. So it comes down to two things. Because if it's like the initial funding plan, I can help you with that because that's the easy part. If it comes down to we're a little fearful around getting resourceful, that's something that has to come from you. So is it more so that we just need a little help around the funding aspect, or are we just a little uneasy around like the money right now?
The funding aspect of it.
And this is why I'm really big on just making sure we get the commitment before we dive into the into the money. And the reason is if we don't get the commitment and we don't shift the focus, the reliability of their answers when it does come to the money is just going to be much lower. I'm not saying it's bad that you just go right into like, hey, is it more fear or is it more just the funding aspect of it? Because an overwhelming majority of people are just going to tell you it's the funding aspect of it, even though they're fearful. So you got to sit and think. The reliability of this question is very low. That question in general, it just allows people to lie to you. So especially when we're in objection handling, we need to be having real conversations. So if I allow somebody to lie to me, we're not having a real conversation anymore. And that is going to break the connection that you guys have if we allow them to lie to us. Again, it's not a bad question. Just the reliability of the question is low. Of like typically, they're just going to tell you, hey, it's the money aspect of it, even though they might be fearful. Okay? So that's why it's like when she says to be successful on my own and not have to depend on anyone. It's like, yeah, and I can definitely appreciate where you're coming from. Can I share perspective? So it's like we're looking to get to somewhere we've never been before. You get what I mean? So that just requires a different level of thinking, a different level of mindset. Like, would you agree? So would you be willing to actually focus on the how do we actually get there, the ROI, like what we get out of, rather than just the money we put down? And part of that is because we didn't actually get her to express what the real concern was. And because of that, like we're just fishing a little bit. If we got her to express it, like, that reframe right there could be a little bit more precise. And then from there, it's like, well, would we be actually willing to focus on the problem, not having the skills rather than the symptom? Why would you? What happens if you don't? The money, that's the easy part. The hard part is just the commitment to change. So are you actually committed to change though? Okay, so if you're committed to change, what can we do? Let's not focus on what we can't do. What can we do? And then you drill into it. So the reliability of those answers are going to be much higher because number one, we know exactly what they're objecting to and how they're objecting to it. Two, we reframe the way that they're thinking about the money and focus on their commitment to change. And then we get a reliable, what do you have? That's the biggest part of that. Again, not bad, but just the reliability of the answer. I don't like it because, again, she just told you it's the funding aspect of it. And I know you say you run into fear. So it was fear from the get-go. So she just lied to you.
The money.
Okay, I got you. So just so I don't put you in a bad position where you're eating ramen for the next couple months, bills, expenses, everything else aside, what do you actually have available to you today? Just so I know what to present with you would be the best fit for you.
Around 5,000.
Okay, and is that like bills and expenses aside?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the way you're going about this, really good, right? You're showing, don't want to put you in a tough spot, all that stuff. Like, that's good.
So what I can do is we would have two options for you that would actually fit in your budgetary constraints. So the first one would be, it would be a triple pay, if you will. So it would take that 7,000.
Okay. If you get what they have, now you just got to sit and think which is going to be probably the best for them, and then which is going to get the most cash up front. Give them one option. If they can't do it, then we move on to another one. Because what happens is, so put yourself in her shoes for a little bit. Okay. She is fearful and she is uncertain. Now we're adding more variables to the situation. Okay, we're adding more variables to the situation of her uncertainty and her fearfulness. So it's just going to create more uncertainty in her mind. So the less options is going to be better. Now, if they're like, hey, if it's going to be better for the client to just do the funding, just bring up the funding. But if they, whatever it is, it's going to be better for them to do a split pay, just bring up the split pay. And if they can't do it, then you go to the other one. For example, if they can't do the funding, right? Let's say they don't have a credit score. Then we go into, it's like, okay, if you don't have that, would you be open to talking about a couple different ways that maybe we can actually break that payment up into more bite-sized chunks? That way we don't have to do any credit? Okay, cool. And then we go into it. but it's only after we eliminate the other options. Because if you just give too many options, again, it's creating more uncertainty. We're giving too many options.
$1,000, it would break it down to 3 payments of $2,500. Now, by going this route, unfortunately, there is a little interest. So at the end, you're paying, I think, like $500 in interest, but it breaks down to $2,500 a month. Typically, by month 2, our clients are getting in and they're getting that business line of credit, and then they can pay off the rest of the training with that and still get into their first Airbnbs. Another thing we do have is, it's probably most popular among our college students, is we are partnered with Klarna. Have you ever heard of them before?
No.
Okay, so all Klarna is, it's a very simple application process. It's kind of like a third-party funding. What they're able to do is they're able to take that, that $7,000 and break it up into as many months as you need. The most popular, what our college students go with, is like a 24-month period. It breaks it up into about $360 a month. So that way you guys get in for only $360. You kind of break it up into that terms. You put in, you still get access to everything we discussed. And then when you get that first Airbnb in the first 3 months or sooner, depending on the work you put in, the profits you make from that, instead of putting in your own pocket, you just go to paying off your training. So then that way you can actually get in for little to no money as well. So I guess between those two, which one do you feel like would make more sense for you?
The second one.
Okay. So what I can do is, I know you're on this number right now. Let me just double check that. I just want to make sure this is the correct number real quick. That the 561, the one you dialed in on, that is the best number for you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So we're going through.
So what I can do, my dear, is we can pull this up. And I'll kind of walk you through the
Why do you keep calling her my dear?
credit application process. It doesn't impact your credit at all. It does a soft credit check. And this way we can see if we can even get you approved in the first place to at least get you on board for that initial payment. So just give me 1 second as I pull this up. Okay, so let me go over here. We'll go Klarna. Okay, and then I'm just going to confirm that I do have the correct information on file here.
So it looks like you're taking her through Klarna.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to text you this link, and then we'll kind of walk through it together, okay?
Okay.
This is just for the approval. It's not going to charge you. It's not going to do anything like that, because as of right now, you haven't typed in a card. You haven't done anything like that.
Okay. And click pay?
So
after you type in your name and address and all that stuff, and then you would hit pay.
Okay.
And then it should redirect you to a Klarna website. Did it do that? Okay, so try clicking that one and click next on that one. If it good on your point, I know sometimes we have people with like an 800 credit score and even. Okay, cool. So good on your point. I know sometimes.
Okay, so she is approved.
Okay,
cool.
Cool. So good on your point. I know sometimes we have people with like an 800 credit score and even they get approved. It's just finicky like that or disproved. So it kind of just comes down to that. So from here, my dear, it comes down to for 360 we get.
Why do you keep calling her my dear? That's funny.
You in on this call right here. We get you onboarded, we get you into the trainings, and we get you into the actual community. So you have a clear, crystal plan. You could spend the weekends going through the trainings, booking that first one-on-one call on Sunday night or Monday if you wanted to, and then you're off to the races to actually get that first property.
Okay, so it just comes down to you got approved, blah blah blah. Again, we don't need to say like, hey, sometimes people don't get approved. Like, I would say that beforehand. If we're worried that she might not get approved, it's like, hey, they can't tell us why they do or don't approve people. Sometimes they have really good credit and don't get approved. But if that happens, we do have a few different options. Again, that would help. So it's like you can kind of pre-handle the, oh, well, I didn't get approved. This might be a sign, or the world's ending. So you can do that beforehand. Afterwards, like them getting approved, like it doesn't hurt, but again, it doesn't help. So like my thinking is like, why have it? If it doesn't hurt, it doesn't help. If you take that out of the conversation, it literally does nothing. Okay. Then from there, it's like, okay, do one of those plans actually work for you? So instead of like, hey, just pick one of those plans and we'll go through it, just like you walk them through it. Like, hey, what are some of the options that you're showing up? Like, what are the options that are showing up? And just walk them through. It's like, okay, what are the options that are showing up? Okay, we got this, we got this, we got this. Okay, and again, I can't give financial advice, but what our clients will typically do is they'll just pick the lowest monthly payment That way, again, they don't have to, pay as much out of their own pocket. And then once they get the, the actual profit from the Airbnb, they just go ahead and they start paying that down. Do you feel like something like that might work best for you? And you're just leading her like, okay, this is what most people do, is they just do the lowest monthly payment so they don't have to pay as much out of pocket. And then like what they do is they'll just take, 50% of the profits they'll make and start, taking big whacks at it. So that way it's completely paid off in 3 to 4 months. Do you feel like that would actually work for you? Okay, cool. So it's like you're just telling them like, hey, this is what everyone else does. So again, we're wanting to give certainty in the options. Like, hey, what options did you get? Okay, this is typically what clients will do. So they'll just pick the lowest one and then they'll start paying it off early. Would that work? Get a yes, that would work. Then we can go, okay, so then the next steps is you go ahead, take care of that investment, and then we do whatever it is. But we got to get the actual buy-in on the numbers that she has in front of her. Until we get the buy-in that this number works, we can't be asking for the sale.
Okay. Can I have like 2 days to think about it? I want to look at all the plans, see what would be better.
Yes, and she's uncertain about her plans. So something that's super simple, because it doesn't sound like it's a real objection, just at the face value. I want to take a look at all the plans, blah, blah, blah. It's just walk through the plans with her. It's just like, hey, what different options did you have? What different options did you get? Can I make a suggestion? Again, I can't give financial advice. You want to be compliant, okay? I can't give financial advice, but what most clients will do is this. And then, they go ahead and they take big whacks at it so they're not paying out of pocket. Do you think that would work for you and like what you're currently working with? Okay, cool. So then what would like the next steps here would be this. And then she can't say like, oh, I have a bunch of different plans. She just has to be more direct of, well, this is just a big step. It's scary. Can I think about it? If that still does come up.
Better for me.
Yeah.
It has multiple plans.
Yeah, no worries. And then also just during that time, just so I can kind of send you some other stuff as well, so you can kind of review that, make a good educated decision. I guess what do you want to like go over in your mind over the next couple of days, just to see if I could even help in the first place?
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, she's not listening.
Yeah, my apologies. I was saying like, and then just to see if I can help you with like sending some more resources over to you. What did you want to like go over in your mind over the next day or two, just to see if I could help?
Just to see what plan would be quicker and better for me, like for the tuition.
Oh yeah, I gotcha. And I guess with your current budgetary constraints, like with what we have actually, with what we're making and spending, would the $360 a month like be in your?
What does she mean by quicker and better? Okay, yeah, that's not an issue. Just maybe so I have a little bit of context. Okay, what are we actually tackling right now? Nobody says you have to go fast. Slow down. Understand where she's coming from. What do you actually mean quicker and better? Just to see if I can help over here. Because she might just be like, oh, I just don't want to pay as much interest. Who knows? Who knows what's behind that? So you just want to understand what does she mean by quicker and better? And then from there, then we can actually attack it.
Your budgetary constraints?
That's what I'm going to see.
Yeah, no, sorry. I guess I'm just a little confused. So my apologies on that. So you said you had like 5,000 set aside. So $360 a month. Does that actually fit in with like bills and expenses up like to the side?
Well, that would be taking from the 5,000.
Okay, correct. So like as of right now, like with the current bills and expenses we have, like how much is that typically a month?
Could you repeat that?
Yeah, no worries, my dear. So like currently what are we spending on like bills? Because you said you don't pay for rent. So what are our current COGS, if you will? Like
now, something you did really good is you're like, hey, this isn't adding up. Help me understand what's going on. So that's good.
what are our bills monthly?
I don't pay any bills.
Okay, so you're lucky. You're one of the lucky few then. Your parents kind of still cover everything for you?
Yeah.
Okay, my dear,
Yeah,
you were in
they pay my car payments, everything.
Oh my dear, you were in a perfect spot.
Okay. Now, if she's in a perfect spot, where's her urgency? You get what I'm saying? So we just got to be careful on how we frame things, just like first and foremost. And this is also why it's super important, especially with younger people who might be in like in a comfortable spot, their parents paying for everything. Like, where is their urgency to do it now rather than doing it later? So that's why you got to like make sure we drill into that first. So it gets a lot of this out of there.
Okay, so you have no bills going out right now. So the only other bill you actually have right now would just be kind of like your tuition then, which is that $360 a month with the training.
Yeah.
Okay. So essentially, if we did the math on this, because I got to pull out my handy dandy calculator, you know, my mother said I wasn't the best at math. Our goal is we're guaranteeing you to get into that property within the first 3 months. So let's just say worst case, like it takes you full 3 months. And I mean, like you have to be like the worst student to get it in 3 months. A lot of our students are getting it before then. But we go 360 times 3. We're into the program for essentially $1,080. That's with interest. That's with everything. That kind of leaves us with $4,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that $4,000, we're not even going to really have you touch that either, because you're going to get into the program. You're going to book in a one-on-one funding call with Donovan, and then he's going to help you get $25,000 in business funding to go out there, get this Airbnb, furnish it, list it, and start making a profit with it.
Okay.
So does that all kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of like going through the numbers right now, like, I mean, and you know yourself better than I do. I mean, it does look like it does fit in the budgetary constraints.
Mm-hmm.
So then it just comes down
Yeah.
to where should we?
Okay, so again, this is a lot of telling. If you look, like we made a point, which again, like it's a good point. Again, like you're showing her the numbers make sense. It's like, okay, does that make sense? So from what it looks like, you know, you being able to do, you know, just 1,000, and then really from there, it's just about making sure the program pays for itself. Do you feel like that would actually work for you? We gotta ask. Like, hey, do you feel like, you know, with what we laid out then, like the numbers, do those numbers actually make sense for you? Do they work for you? Would that fit in your budgetary restraints? Like, we got to get them to give us buy-in. Because like right now we are a little bit over-explaining and then just asking for the sale. We need to get their buy-in moving forward. Because what we say, absolute garbage. What they say is gospel. So it's like, do those numbers make sense? And really, and what I would tell, you know, what I tell every you know student coming in is you just need to focus on making sure you can just do the initial amount. Then the program, it pays for itself. So for you to like that initial amount, like, does that actually work for you? Can you do that? Okay, so if you can do that, what do you feel like we should do from here? You see, like, you at least need to get that tie down that they can do that. Because here's the problem. If we don't get that tie down that they can do that, even though, like, in your mind, I can understand maybe what you're thinking of. Well, she said she had this, so obviously she can do it. But I need her to tell herself that. You get what I mean? So then we have a path forward of when we do overcome this fear, like, she's already told herself she can do it. You get what I mean? So I would say that's the biggest thing.
We go from here, my dear?
Yeah. I mean, I just kind of want to look over the plans because I really want to pay it off like as fast as possible. So, you know, I'm just going to see.
Okay. So she really wants to pay it off as fast as possible. Now and again, because what we heard earlier, you know, she wants to see which is better and quicker. And we didn't understand what she meant by that. And here's the issue. Because of that, we didn't understand what she meant. And what we just told her, it was not morphed and it was not customized. It was a little bit more generic to just any old money objection or any old numbers objection. It wasn't customized to her. You see how that's still coming up? Because if she said quicker, you can talk to her about how you do it quicker. Or you can at least change some of the words and you can use, this is the quickest way we've seen people do it. So would that work for you? You see, like, now we're talking to what she wants, which is a quick way to do this. You get what I mean? So now it's, It's customized to her. It's not just a money objection. So just the pattern from what I'm seeing right now is we're going too fast. Take your time a little bit and just understand exactly what you're handling and understand their language around it. So that way, with whatever you're saying, you can customize it to them. Better, quicker. What does that mean? And then when you're explaining it, you can explain the way that you're mapping it out, that this is the best and quickest way to do it. Exactly what she wants, right? Get the buy-in that this would actually work for her. And then we go ahead and we ask for the sale.
Yeah, I can definitely appreciate that. We want to pay it off as fast as possible.
Yeah.
The best part about with Klarna is there's no early payoff penalty. So once we get to month 3 and we're making 2, 3, 4, 5,000 a month with our Airbnb business, we can start taking that profit and just start paying it off in chunks without any interest, without any penalty. This way we can at least get you in for a low entry to barrier. And then you don't have to worry about, okay, do I have to put, let's say if you did like the 3 or 6 month plan, I have to put at least 1,000 to 2,000 down every month. It gets you in for the lowest entry, and then you can just start paying it off once you start making profits.
Okay.
So does that
Yeah,
sound
that
like
sounds
something?
good.
Yeah, is that something you want to do then?
Yeah.
Okay. So from here, my dear, what I will do
Okay,
on
so
my
now
end
that
is
we
I'll start
actually
crafting your
addressed-
onboarding.
See, now that we actually address the quicker side of things, right? It's like, I would explain to them, like, hey, $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. So what we don't want is for you to just tie up all your capital, especially when you need that to reinvest into the business and just make it to where you're making more money quicker, right? Quicker. You get what I'm saying? And it's like, so what clients will typically do if they want to get the results the quickest and the best way possible is they just pick the lowest payment option they have. And I would want to understand what their payment options are. You can ask, right? They'll just pick the lowest payment option that is available. So that way they don't have to really tie up their own capital. And then what they'll do is they'll go ahead, get into the program. And again, we'll map it out for you, make sure to get the business funding. And then by month 2, month 3, once they actually have those profits coming in, they take about 50% of that and they start taking big whacks at the actual, funding side. So it gets paid off in 4 to 5 months at most. Do you think like that would actually work for you? You see how does that make sense? Do you feel like that would actually work for you? I need their buy-in. But again, I'm morphing how I explain it to what she wants, right? She wants it better and quicker. So what am I going to give her? Better and quicker. You get what I mean?
Email. If you want to kind of finish out that application, just do the initial, and you may even got to prove that you don't even need to do the first month. Sometimes they waive the first month. If you just wanted to fill out, if you want to fill out the rest of the application,
and again, it's like we're just like pushing forward. We're just pushing forward, but we're not getting her buy-in along the way.
So you get approved, all I need is like a screenshot because I do attach that to your file and kind of send it over to our onboarding team. But while you're finishing that up, I will start crafting your onboarding email, and then we'll kind of do the full onboarding steps on this call right here.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to look over the plans and see which one I want to go with.
Because you see how we didn't really fully tie it off of like, does this make sense that this is the best and quickest way to do it from like with all of our other students, like how they do it? So would that actually work for you? Okay. Like you tie that off completely, boom. And then like, because again, like what's happening right now is she seems a bit fearful about taking the first steps. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking away the uncertainty from her and really positioning the path forward the way that she wants to do it. And then if there is some reason that she continues to not want to move forward, then we just know it's fear and we just dive right into it. But right now we're just going a bit in circles. And it's just going to take longer, which the longer the call takes, whether she might be having another meeting or like who knows, right? There might be time restraints on it, especially if she's booking out a 45-minute call or she's booking out an hour call. The longer the objection handling goes, the likelihood that they're going to be able to close is going to be lower. So the quicker we can get to the point, the quicker we can actually start talking to the real objection is going to be the best.
First, and then I'll let you know. I'll let you know within a day.
I got you. And I mean, like, my dear, between you and me, like, we discussed the 360 does fit in your budgetary constraints. It makes sense to get you in for the lowest amount. But what's really holding you back?
Now, we didn't get buy-in that it makes sense to get it for the lowest amount, but it's good that you're calling out the real objection, okay? So right now you realize, like, hey, this doesn't make any sense. What's going on? So this is really good. This isn't making any sense. There's like so many contradictions here. What's going on? This, fantastic.
You could be real with me. I'm on your team here. I'm on your team.
It's just like really scary because like I don't want to be like, I obviously know, like, I believe that you guys aren't like scamming people or anything, but it's just like it's just really scary. Like, I know you say
fantastic. She's just fearful. That's what it is. Cool.
You're 100% right.
Like, people are guaranteed like the property, but I want to think about it clearly, you know.
No, and I hear you. Because is it fair to say what you're looking for is a little bit of certainty?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, first off, taking that first step, do you feel like that step should be comfortable, or do you feel like it might be a little scary?
It's scary.
Yeah. Because, like, and be real with me. Like, I've been there too. Like, do you think taking that first step, getting to that first, like, 6 figures, do you feel like that jump should be comfortable?
No.
Yeah, because, like, do you know anybody that grows when they're comfortable?
No.
If you did, you'd be the first person that I.
Okay, it's like this is good. Again, we're getting onto fear, and we're walking her down the path. Now, again, how do we get more buy-in as we go? Asking why on at least one of these. It's like, do you know anyone that grows when they're comfortable? No. Why? Oh, because of this, and this. Yeah, and I can appreciate you being real with me. And then you move on. So that way you get them to articulate more on the frame. We get them to get more buy-in. That's really what that is.
I've ever met. But no, like, so right now I'm 24. Like, I was the exact same way. I got into, like, stocks, Amazon FBA, Airbnb, all that stuff when I was like 17, 18. Failed at everything. So talk about, like, being scary. Like, just jumping into another thing where I'm like, am I just going to fail at this again? I got on a call with Adam, and we kind of had a conversation similar to this. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I'm scared, this and that. He's like, kind of share a perspective with you. So for you, do you mind if I make a suggestion to you?
Okay. The frame you set up is really good. Okay. Like, you put yourself in her shoes, and then you detach yourself of you talking to her, but naturally she'll put herself in your position. Now, you did that, but we didn't really use it. You get what I mean? It's like, hey, Adam said this thing to me. He said, can I share a perspective with you? And then you just, like, you went right into her. Then you just went right into talking to her. Now, again, like, here's the thing. Did you need that then? Like, if we're going to put something like that into the conversation, just use it. It's like Adam, like he had this, really, really deep conversation with me. And it really just come down to, he asked me, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And it really hit me that if I knew I couldn't fail, like, I would just dive in. And the next question he asked is, well, if you knew you couldn't fail, you would dive in, you would do it. Why would you act in any other way and plan for failure? And that was right. Like, I was planning for failure. So I really got to ask you, and then you move it on to them, right? Again, what you're doing right now, it's not bad. Okay. I'm just saying, like, you got a good hook in, dude, just fucking use it, bro. You get what I'm saying? Use it. Like, Adam said this thing to me. He said, like, similar conversation to yours. And this is what got me over the edge. And she's going to be sitting there and she's like, yeah, why am I planning for failure? You get what I'm saying? Or something like that. Like you can create these stories or whatever it is, but if you do put that hook in, use it. You don't need to put that hook in. You can go like, hey, I've been in your shoes before, this, and this, and this. Can I make a suggestion to you? You can skip that part. Like I got on a call with Adam, blah, 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 blah. You can skip that part and still be effective. I'm just saying, if you are going to put that hook in, because it's a powerful frame. And it allows you to be a little bit more direct on what's actually going on the fear, without you actually being direct to her. Okay? Because it's Adam talking to you. You get what I'm saying? So if you have that, dude, just fucking use it, bro. You know what I mean? Like, kudos, you set it up, fucking use it. You didn't use it.
Mhm.
Like, in moments like this, like, you're going to have that fear. Everybody does. Do you think it gets any easier when you start borrowing millions of dollars for bigger projects?
No.
I can tell you it doesn't. So in moments like this, we have two options. We can either let that fear constrict us and it holds us back, or we can shape it. And we shape it into massive action, because once we have skin in the game, it's not like a if it will work, it's a when will it work. That's the beauty of what we have, is we try to eliminate as many risks as possible. You have the team, you have the support, and we have a guarantee. We have never had a client not get their Airbnb and be profitable when joining our group. The only way you don't be profitable is if you don't go through the trainings, you don't book your one-on-one call, and you don't ask for help. I don't think that's you, but do you feel like you're just going to join this and not put any effort in?
No, not at all.
No, I don't get that, because otherwise I really would have even offered you a spot. You seem like a go-getter. You're 19. You sound like you're going to be a killer in life, but to actually ensure that we can help get you there, we first have to start taking little small steps. So for you, if we actually want to go out there and become that business owner who is financially free and who lives on their own dime, what would you rather let that fear do? Constrict it, or would you rather shape it?
Shape it.
Yeah, but what happens if we constrict it and we let that fear to hold us back?
Okay. Now, right now, we're getting to a very pivotal moment in the conversation. What we need to do is we need to take it further. What do I mean by that? Okay. So what would you rather allow that feeling to do? Allow it to constrict you just like it does with, most people. Or shape it into taking massive action. So we put some skin in the game. Now this has to work. We're going to make it work. Which one would you rather do? I'd rather shape it. Why would you rather shape it? Why? Get her to expand. Expand it. So she's telling herself like why she needs to take action. She took a step in your direction. What you're doing is you're pushing back. It's like, why though? Like nobody's going to force you to do it though. Nobody's going to force you to, attack your fear. Like you push back, which gets her to defend her position. So it's like right now she took a step forward and then we push back on her and she's going to entrench herself more in the position. And then we go to consequence.
Stay in the same spot.
Yeah, but what happens if we constrict it and we let that fear to hold us back?
Stay in the same spot.
Yeah. So if...
Okay, now we need to take... So here's what you do. You're at a pivotal moment. You push back. You get a really juicy why. You go to consequence. And right now, we need a good, juicy, chef's kiss consequence. Staying in the same spot, especially when somebody's fearful, it's not going to cut it. It's not enough. It's like, yeah, and again, most 19-year-olds, they're fine with that. Why aren't you fine with that? And again, what's going to be the day-to-day ramifications a week from now, a month from now, us staying in the same spot, doing the same thing over and over again that we have been? Like, are you going to allow that to happen? Because it's a choice. Again, you got to push back. Like, that's not a good enough answer. Staying in the same spot. Lots of people stay in the same spot. Are you okay with that? So be real with me. If we wake up tomorrow and we are staying in the same spot and we're looking in the mirror and we know that, like, how is that going to feel? What would be the day-to-day ramifications of this continuing? Are we willing to allow that to happen? Why not? And I appreciate that, because like now you're being real. So what do we actually have to do? Or who do we need to become to actually make sure we don't be the person who stays in the same spot and continues to be a burden? Right? We just need to drill down deeper here. That's the whole crux of the conversation, is this right here. And if we try to speed past it, then like we've done all this work for nothing, basically. Because we're not going to get her to really open up on it, really get to see the urgency and make that shift. That's really what it comes down to. So when you get to this point, take your time. Just take your time and drill. Okay? Why would you want to shape it? Because you could not. Oh, it'd stay in the same spot. Okay, and I can appreciate we'd stay in the same spot, but most people stay in the same spot for their entire lives. So what would staying in the same spot like actually cause for you? Or why are you not okay with that? And if you did stay in the same spot, another day, another week, like what is the day-to-day ramifications of the same thing happening over and over again, and we continue to be a burden? Not 10 years from now. What if we continue to be that person who's a burden tomorrow? Like, how's that going to feel? And are you willing to allow that to happen? Because it's a choice. And I say this because I care. It's a choice. Why not? Okay. So who do we need to actually be? So that we're no longer that person who's the burden. That we can be financially free. And we can actually be the business owner who, I don't know exactly, like, yeah. Because I didn't listen to Discovery. But it's like, again, you want to make sure that we're drilling down into her specific consequences and her specific goals. Like, it needs to be specific. Like, we can't be generic at this point.
If we actually want to become that business owner and we want to shape it, where should we go from here, my dear?
Taking the first step.
You sure?
Yeah, because like think of it like this way. Like at the bottom of the stairs is where you...
Okay, so it's like right now.
Taking the first step.
You see how she's a little bit hesitant with that? So again, if somebody's a little bit hesitant, like she took a step, like fantastic. Like she took a step, she said something that was positive. I need to get her to entrench herself more in that belief. It's like taking the first step. She's kind of like, you know what I mean? You can tell her energy when she said that is low. So what I need to do is I need to push back a little bit. Are you sure? Or why do you think so? With this woman in particular, I would have just said like, why do you think so? Right? But it's somebody who's a little bit more, you need to be a little bit more forward. Just like, well, are you sure? So I was like, well, why do you think so? Why do you feel like you need to take the first step? Well, I need to take the first step because of this, and this. Okay. So it just comes down to, are you actually ready to take that first step? So what should we do? And then we go ahead, we move it forward.
Yeah, because like think of it like this way. Like at the bottom of the stairs is where you are now. You're 19, you're going through the 9 to 5. At the top of the stairs, it is you in a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. You are the business owner. You're probably making well over 108,000, but let's just say you're making 108,000 now. Like you are a different person. I'm not talking about you jumping from the bottom of the stairs to the top of the stairs because that's unrealistic. Mm-hmm. But if we actually want to start becoming that person, we have to get onto the first step and just keep taking everything one step at a time. Because at the end of the day, it's not becoming that person that makes 100,000. It's the journey that gets there. Because the person you become over that time is going to be far more valuable with the skills you learn and the lessons you've acquired. So if we actually want to start becoming that business owner, and we know we need to take the first step, the choice is yours, my dear. What decision do you want to make to actually become that business owner?
Yeah, I agree.
I didn't ask if you agree or disagree. I ask you, what decision do you have to make?
Good.
Taking the first step.
Why?
So where should we go from here?
It's like, why? Why? Like, why? Like, legit, like, we just need that. Well, why? What happens if you tell yourself it's okay not to take that first step? Even for a day. Right? And then we can drill into that. Now, if we would have drilled into the consequences and stuff earlier, we probably wouldn't be running into as much, but, you know, whatever. But it's like, we just need the why. Taking the first step. Well, why though? Oh, because of this, this, and this. Okay. So what should we do? What do we got to do?
Going for it.
Then let's do this.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
All right, my dear.
How you feeling? Right? So it's like, and this is just like little, okay? So it's like once she takes that commitment, and you can tell she's still a little bit hesitant from just how she's saying it. She's like, okay, let's do this. Like, hey, no, I get it. It's tough taking that first step and actually committing to yourself. How does it feel to commit to yourself? It's scary, but it feels good. Yeah, no, I get it. And again, it's not going to get any easier, right? As far as like taking that step, but it's what's required. You get what I mean? So it's like kudos for you for actually committing to yourself. Like I'm rewarding the behavior immediately. She's like, okay, we got to do it. Okay. Yeah, dude, that kudos to you, right? Because actually committing to yourself, that's the hardest part. You committing to yourself, like how does it feel? Boom, right? Like we want to reward that behavior, right? So, because like the problem is, if she kind of gave you a half-assed okay, and then we're just like, okay, well, this is what we do. Let's go ahead and do this. Then there can be, because I can see there's more to this call. Then it's like, oh, well, fuck, like that sounds like a lot. Let me just push this off another day. You get what I'm saying? So immediately when they're like, yes, let's fucking do it. Reward immediately. It's like kudos to you, right? Most people, they have that hard time actually committing to themselves. So how does it feel you actually committing to yourself? Oh, it feels great, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, cool. It's like, and now that we committed to ourselves, like this is how it works. And then you just go right into it, okay? But just
I'm going to
get
get
that
your
buy-in.
email set. We are going to walk through the steps together. Here's the best part about this. Like I'm 24. I'm not that much older than you. You have my phone number. Text me with what you need. We'll make it impossible for you to fail. And on top of it, I would also like to maybe FaceTime you either this weekend later so you can see my face, so you don't just have to hear my voice. I promise my face doesn't look that bad.
And see, that's good, but we just need to reaffirm or get her to feel good about the decision she just made. Okay? So we need to just reaffirm
Here's
that.
what we'll do.
Okay.
I'm going to start crafting your onboarding email.
Okay, it looks like you go through her email, you get that, blah, blah, blah. This goes on for a few minutes. Okay. Okay. Okay, and then it looks like we're just, and again, you are like saying like, hey, other people got results, that type of thing, and all that good stuff, which is good, right? Like you're reaffirming like, hey, other people got results, all that good stuff. I would just always get the buy-in, like, how does she feel? Congratulate her on taking that step.
Feel for my dear. Okay, so the onboarding email is ready to rock and roll when you are. Just waiting on the text and screenshot from you. No worries. So what we'll do is if we just confirm the payment here, I'll at least get you the onboarding email sent, and then we can schedule a follow-up call later this evening to kind of go through everything so it's seamless for you.
Okay. I'll look at it and I'll send you a text and give you a screenshot.
Okay. So once we finish that up on this call, then we can kind of schedule that second call for later today.
You see how she's
Okay.
she's
The
squirmy.
payment now?
Yeah.
Yes, because this way we can at least book that second call, so at least something's on the books for later.
Okay. Do you think that I could like do it like this after? Because I wanted to do it this afternoon. I don't all my cards and all my stuff. I don't even have it with me.
You're telling me you're 19 and you don't walk around with your wallet?
No, everything is Apple Pay for me. I don't
I don't walk around with my wallet. Everything is Apple Pay for me as well.
ever carry my card physically.
I got you. I think you can even pay with Apple Pay.
Yeah, you can pay Apple Pay. Oh, no, I don't think with Klarna you have to actually put in your card information unless I go put in full. That's Apple Pay.
So with that, she had like if you don't know how Apple Pay works, like if you go into the settings, I don't have my phone with me. I don't like to have it with me when I looking at calls. But if you go into it with the cards, you can look at their numbers from the card. Like you can look at the card numbers and everything there. So it's a really easy way to get out. Well, it's like, oh, well, if you go into settings, you can actually see the card numbers. So you should be all good to go with that.
Or that's the option that it showed up for me. For Klarna,
Okay.
it's asking for my number and stuff.
Okay, so we'll do this then here. Where's your wallet sitting at right now?
My car. But I'm clocking in as we talk right now.
You're clocking in as you talk right now. I hear you. Well,
Yeah.
And see, that's a bit of an issue when you're talking about just the objection handling. If it does take longer, if she sounds like she took this during her lunch for whatever like job she has, so she had an hour lunch, she spent that with you. Okay, fair enough. But now, since this is dragging out a little bit longer, now we could be running into a little bit of logistical of like, oh, well, I got to clock in. I got to get back to work. You know what I'm saying? So, like, is that the real objection? Probably not. I mean, I would just like, call it out. But I would like, first and foremost, I would just like tell her like, hey, you have the numbers on your Apple Pay. So it's like, basically I'm telling her like, hey, I know you're lying to me. Like number one, right? So it's like you call it out and it's just like, and then from there, it's like, hey, I've talked to thousands of people. Typically, if we're wanting to, go get the wallet in the car or we want to push this off, a couple hours, things like that. Like I get what's going on again, and I'm on your team and I truly want you to get the results you're looking for. I'd make it more specific than that, but it's like, and I truly want you to, get A, B, and C. So again, and you can be honest. Like what's going on here? What's holding you back? And you just level with them at that point. But yeah, it sounds like it's a smoke screen. But I think part of the problem is we didn't really tie the fear down as much as we should have. Okay. And then we just affirm, congratulate as soon as they do take that step.
Yeah.
My dear, typically, because again, I love the transparency you've been with me, and I'm going to continue being transparent with you because that's how we grow a business. You're not the first person to leave their wallet in their car. Typically, that's a kind way of saying is they're a little still fearful and they're trying to take that last step back. So, my dear, this isn't something you have to do. Like,
good. Again, I don't know why you're calling her my dear over and over again, but like good. Like, so you called it out. Okay, so that's good.
you can definitely just continue just going down where we're going right now. But if this is something that's actually important to you, do you think it might help actually just getting that first scary step out of the way right now?
Good.
Yeah. I just want to think about it just for one day.
Yeah.
It would just make me feel a lot better, a lot more comfortable. I don't like to just dive into things and not think about it at all.
Yeah, no, and that makes you a completely sane person, because I don't know anybody that just jumps into something right away without thinking about it. But as humans, would you agree we make decisions based off of our own perspective and choices, right?
Okay, so I would just be careful. It's like we just we confirmed that think about it. It's like, okay, no, and that totally makes sense. I can understand where you're coming from. I would just leave it at that. Rather than that makes you a sane person, because I don't know anyone that jumps into things without thinking about it. And if she thinks that that's what she's doing, you're just reaffirming her to give you an objection. So if she's wanting to do it from now to tomorrow, you can just go hey, when is if we truly need to make a change, when is the best time to make that change? The best time was 6 months ago. The next best time is today. You get what I'm saying? Or do you get where I'm coming from? Because if we do push this off when we know we need to make the change, like we're like somebody who is, they need to lose weight, but they're new year, new me. They push it off until the New Year's. How long does that person who's new year, new me starts going to the gym in the New Year's? Like, how long do they actually go to the gym and commit to themselves? Yeah, 2 weeks if you're lucky. Why do you feel like that is? And even if they were truly committed, them pushing it off for a day, them pushing off for a month, them pushing it off for a year, during that time that they're pushing it off, are they walking towards their goal or are they walking away from their goal? Well, they're walking away from their goal. Yeah. And how we do one thing is how we do everything. So if I truly care about you and I truly want you to get the best results, why would I let you off this call knowing that we're going to be walking away from our goal, even if it's just for a day? Like, why would I let you get off this call thinking that's okay if I truly care about you? I mean, you want it. Well, why not? But what if you do? Like, what if you can, continue to tell yourself it's okay to walk away from your goal, even if it is for a day, even if it is for 2 days? What if you continue to allow yourself to think that? Well, stay in the same spot. And you got lots of people staying in the same spot. But for you, if we wake up tomorrow and we look in the mirror and we know that we should have made a change, but we didn't, and we continue to be the burden that we have been, like, how is that going to feel? And are you willing to feel that way tomorrow morning? Because it's a choice. And I say this because I care. It's a choice. Well, why not? So what do you actually have to do? You crush them to the core.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, the only, I don't want to say flaw, but the only flaw with that really is if we keep making decisions based off our current perspective, the current perspective that we've been at for the last 2, 3, 4 years, that's always where we're going to stay. Because like right now, with the income we're making, with the life we're living, and like the actual skills in life we have right now, are you 100% satisfied with that?
No.
Why not?
Yeah. So if we want to continue to make those decisions and just kind of sleep on it or think on it for a day, those are the decisions we're always going to get. But if we actually want to become that business owner that takes the first step, that actually gets out there, do you think your perspective has to change a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that.
In what way, though?
Why? In what way, though? Okay, so good. You're getting her to expand on it.
Well, I mean, it's like what you said. Like, I understand that, just, I'm not going to
Yeah, but do
I'm
you
not
understand
trying to
it?
think negatively
So
about
it's like,
it. I just
okay,
really,
so as soon
I
as well, do you understand? As soon as she starts going off on the wrong path, we gotta get in there. Okay? It's like, okay, but do you understand that? Because if you truly understood that you needed to make a change and you needed to make different types of decisions, if you truly understood that, why are you fighting so hard to stay where you're at, even if it is for another day? Because I've never done anything like this before. Yeah, and I can appreciate that. Right? And then we can go into whatever it is. So it's like, if she's going, like, again, we're triggered a negative response, we need to break that. Because people think by talking. So if I start to direct what she talks about, I'm directing what she's thinking about. And if I allow her to talk about and justify her objection over and over again, she's just going to become more and more entrenched in that belief. Okay? Like a belief is like the Hulk, right? Like the more emotion, the more justification, like the more things that happen, like it gets stronger. So the best thing to do is to cut it immediately. Like, handle that belief when it's Bruce Banner. like immediately. Because the more she tells herself with the emotion and the logic, like it's going to get bigger. It's going to get stronger. So we got to get in there immediately.
Feel more comfortable, like really just taking one day to just take a step back, think about it, look at my options, look at all the payment plans, see what would work best for me.
And that's totally fine. Because like
see
at the end
if
of
I
the
can
day,
also
And if you see that because we didn't actually tie off the payment plans, we told her that this works for her. We didn't get her confirmation. We didn't fully tie that off. That it's creeping its ugly head back up here. Okay? So that's what I'm saying. Like tying that off, super, super important. Because like now there's the uncertainty of the payment plan, the fear, just taking a day to think. Like there's so much going on right now in her mind. So the best way is to simplify that or take away systematically what's in her head. So at the end, it's just about taking that step. But right now, she's still thinking about payment plans. You get what I'm saying? Because we didn't fully tie it off.
we don't want you doing anything.
Like I said, my parents are also very, very supportive. So seeing if they could also, loan me some money so I can do the other payment plan, which is like a lot quicker than, doing 360 every month.
Because like
which would
I can
probably
definitely
take longer.
appreciate that. We're trying to do like the payment a little quicker. But right now, we don't even need to worry about the initial like back end of the payments. We just got to worry about the first step.
Okay.
Because as we talked about earlier, like I can appreciate you want to be comfortable. But like when we're talking about going out there and actually becoming that business owner, as we spoke earlier, is that jump supposed to be at all comfortable?
No, not at all.
No,
And I want to make
because,
that
like-
jump, but I want to do it
And I
as
can definitely
efficient as I
appreciate
can.
that we want to. I can definitely appreciate we want to make that jump. But like if we continually want to make decisions based off where we are, based off being like comfortable, my dear, that's where we're ever going to stay. Because like myself, I was a welder. I was a blue collar. So talk about going from like working with your hands to being online. It's entirely different.
Okay.
I was working 12-hour days, 70-hour weeks. That jump for me was beyond scary. It was to the point where it was nerve-wracking. I was biting my nails. Like I was afraid. But Adam did the same thing for me that I'm doing for you. And that's saying, I'm going to be patient with you and take as much time as you need. I'm here for. Because at the end of the day, if we continue making decisions based off where we've been, that's where we'll ever be. Because like you're.
Okay. So it's again, we're still attacking the fear. I would at the very least, be like dive into what she just said, because she's still talking about quickest and most efficient. Just like, hey, and at the day, I do understand you want to do this quickest and most efficient. And again, there's no early payoff penalty when it does come to the funding. So again, if we get started today with that, and then your parents say like they can lend you some money, what you would do is you would just pay off a portion of that early, or pay off the whole thing early. And that way, again, no matter what, whether they say yes, whether they say no, you can still decide and commit to yourself that you will do whatever. Okay, it's like you will commit to yourself that you can. Do you get what I'm saying? So really, that doesn't matter, because we know no matter what, we can at least make this work. And if we want to get other stuff on top of it, it's just it's a cherry on top. All we need to focus on right now, and then go into it. I would at least address it.
You're smart. You know what the definition of insanity is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's doing the same thing over and over again.
Get her to do some more work, bro. Bro, why are you doing all this work? Why are you talking so much? Get her to do it. She knows it. Like, okay, what is it?
Expecting different results. Now, if we want to continue doing the same thing over and over again, and we want to go down the 9-to-5 route, and we're going to be content with that life, that's an entirely different conversation we can be having. But that's not what I got from this conversation with you. You sound like a smart, intelligent, bright young lady who actually wants to go somewhere with life. To do that and to do what, because has anybody else in your family started their own business and is financially free right now?
My dad is the only person I know.
Yeah, and what does he do?
He lives in Venezuela and he has his own.
Okay, so, part of this is that's a little bit of a rabbit hole. And I would say I wouldn't go down this rabbit hole if you don't know what's in it. okay? Because it can bite you in the ass. Do you know what I mean? So if she said no, then we have some things to work with. But then she's like, oh, like my dad does. It's like, okay. Like, you get what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it's bad, but it can backfire. That's what I'll be very careful of right now. If I didn't have the insight that, like, in the conversation, she told me that, like, all of her family's working collar, blue collar, whatever it is, and I want to be that different person. Like, if I got that in Discovery, then I would use this. But if I didn't get this, it's a rabbit hole that can lead to a not great outcome if we don't know what's in the rabbit hole. So just, I'd be careful of that because it can backfire.
He has a shirt company. He has a company.
He's got a
farming
clothing
is very
company.
big over. Yeah. So.
He's got one of the hardest businesses.
Farming
then.
is also. Yeah, farming is also very big in countries like that. So he does have a farm and he sells the animals. He also has he has multiple businesses.
Yeah, and he sounds like he's doing really well for himself. So do you think when your father started back in the day, because clothing companies are hard to start, do you think that was comfortable for him to start? Or you think he might probably felt a little scared as well?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Which one?
Do you think he kind of kicked the can down the road, or do you think he had to change his perspective so that he could actually become the business owner that had multiple successful businesses?
He definitely changed his perspective.
Yeah. Because, like, in moments like this, like, and I'm sure your father could even agree, like, you have, in a way, like, you have these two little voices that are in your head right now. You have the boss voice that's telling you to just go for it, just jump in and do it. And then you have the bitch voice. And the bitch voice is telling you, what if you fail? What if it doesn't succeed? I mean, like, making the engineering salary, it would be okay. Like, in moments like this, like, what voice do you actually want to listen to? The boss voice or the bitch voice?
The first one.
And why do you want to listen to the boss one?
Because it'll get me where I need to be.
Yeah. And when we say it gets us to where we need to be financially free,
yeah,
like, on the other side of that coin, that's a great life to live. But if we don't go out there and start taking action with, like, that.
So again, like, this is where the specificity is definitely going to help with this conversation. Okay. So it's like we're asking her a little bit more generic questions and we're getting more generic responses because of it. Like, I love the boss voice, bitch voice reframe, right? Like, I use it. Okay. Jack my style. Okay. But it's like, it's a great reframe, but it needs to morph to the conversation you're having. So she's telling you that, oh, it's just one day. Then I'm going to shift that to attack. It's okay to give it just one day. So it's like we got two voices in our head. We got the voice that tells us, like, go for it, believe in yourself, just don't think about failure and just go all in. And I like to think about this is the boss voice, right? But then we have the other voice that is scared. You get what I mean? They tell you, like, well, what happens if I fail? It's okay. Like, I don't really need to be financially free. They just want to take the safe route. And, I call that the bitch voice. And the problem, or the good thing about it is, depending on which voice you feed, that voice gets louder. You get what I mean? If you listen to the boss voice, like, that boss voice becomes louder. But on the other end, if you listen to the bitch voice, even if it is for one day, even if it is just for an afternoon, it gets louder. And what happens is people give into it, so it gets louder, so it gets harder and harder to hear the other voice. So right now, in this moment, which voice would you rather make louder? The boss voice or the bitch voice? You see how I'm shifting that, hey, even if this is for an afternoon, even if this is for a day, even if this is for 2 days, you're going to make that voice louder. So then when you come to actually make the decision, the boss voice is even quieter and the bitch voice is louder. So right now, at this moment, which voice do you want to make louder? Why? But what happens, though, if you don't? If you listen to that bitch voice, it gets louder and we continue to stay where we're at right now. You know what I'm saying? So it morphs. I need to have the conversation we're having. It needs to be customized to her and what her concerns are. And if she's telling herself it's okay to wait a day, I need to attack that. Not just her taking that step. Fine. She said, like, oh, I know I need to do it. Like, we've gotten buy-in that she needs to take a step. But we haven't gotten buy-in that she needs to take the step right fucking now. So that is what my reframes are going to attack. Or that's what my reframes, like, that's the belief I am shifting. That it's not okay to wait till afternoon. It's not okay to do this tomorrow if you truly want the results. If you truly want the best results possible, that's not okay. Those contradict each other. Like, you could do that. But if you did that, you're telling yourself it's okay to push things off and walk away from your goals. Okay. Probably want to be so direct, but I'm just like getting the thought process in place.
Boss does. What would be the actual consequences of that?
Staying in the same space.
Too generic.
Yeah. And what would that look like if we stayed just working in the 9 to 5, clocking in, clocking out, going into a cubicle for another 5, 10, 15 years?
So again, what objection are we handling? The objection isn't, oh, I need to make a change, or like, I don't know if I want to make a change, at all. It's, no, I don't know if I want to make the change right now, or just make it tomorrow, or just make it next week, or whatever it is. Like, I just want to push off making this decision. And me pushing it off for a day, 2 days, isn't going to really change too much in the 5 years. Like, that's what's in her head. But if we attack the pushing off for a day and we bring those consequences closer to what happens if you wake up tomorrow, you look in the mirror and you knew you should have made the change, but you didn't. You took a step away from your goals. Like, how is that going to feel? I don't want you to go through that. So are you going to allow that to happen? Because I want to see you win, and I've been in your shoes before, but it's a choice. Boom, like you crush her. But the 10, 15 years, it's too far out. It's too far out. Like, we already got so much buy-in on that. We don't have buy-in on how are you going to feel tomorrow? How are you going to feel if we hop off this call and we don't actually bet on ourselves? That needs to feel awful.
Pretty awful.
Yeah, and I can appreciate it might be awful, but like, as we spoke about earlier, like, if we can't actually visualize like what we're running away from, we'll just go as when it's convenient for us. So if you woke up 15 years from now and you actually were still clocking in and clocking out,
Tomorrow.
you were living the mediocre life, not actually being financially free, getting to enjoy the things you want to do, being independent. Like, who would you be letting down?
Me.
Why?
Yeah. And in moments like this, we have those two choices. As we spoke about earlier, where you are.
Again, like, we got buy-in. Again, I don't think we're on the right thing to really get her across the line, but we get buy-in. Like, you just get her to expand on it. Like, and be letting me down. Why would you? And why are you okay letting yourself down? Why aren't you okay with it?
You are now and where you want to be, there's a gap. You don't need to worry about getting to the end. You need to be a worry about taking the first step. And what's that first step, my dear?
Just going for it.
So where should we go from here?
Yeah. Yeah.
I really just do want to just take. I just really want to look at it.
You see how we didn't really address the why I just want to look at it and then pick the best thing. Since we didn't address that, we didn't address let me just do this afternoon. Let me just do this tomorrow. Let me just do this, 3 days from now. Since we didn't address that part, like, that's what's creeping up. So it's like, just go for it. Why do you feel like it would be just going for it? And if you tell yourself that, and if you know what step to take, and you tell yourself it's okay pushing it off, are you walking towards or away from your goal? Like, drill down on it. Are you walking towards or away from your goal? You're walking away from your goal. Why would you be? Oh, because blah, 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 blah. It's like, and how we do one thing is how we do everything. So if you tell yourself it's okay, even if it is for an afternoon, even if it is for a day, to walk away from your goals. If I truly care about you and truly want you to get the best results, why would I let you in the program if you have that mentality? Why would I let you in if you hold on to this, if you are okay walking away from your goals, no matter how short the time frame is? Like, you get to that point, it's like, oh, well, if you truly care, you wouldn't let me in. Yeah. So it just comes down to, do you actually want the best results? When is the best time to change? And you just really drill down on, when is the best time to change? It's right fucking now. Okay? 6 months ago. Next best time, right now. Frame works wonders. Okay?
Hello?
I'm here.
Yeah. I just want to look at it and, the whole point of this call was just to really learn about it more, see what my options are, what the plan looks like. And now right now I just want to be able to, actually look at that video you sent me.
Yeah,
and
And I can definitely appreciate that, what your expectations were with this call, and that's totally fine. But like, given that the fact that the information you have now is going to put you in the best position possible, doesn't make it any less valuable.
Like, anytime somebody says something like this, I give them the ease of mind of, well, and again, I can appreciate that you want to take some time, that you have all the information to look at it, and you definitely could do that, and you could. But if we know we need to make a change, and we really need to make that shift, when is the best time to make that change? And we're just going right into it, right? So it's just like, you could. And there's an X right there, and you can definitely exit the call. And again, like, I'll still be here. And then you can go into whatever it is you're saying, right? It's like, but is that going to be the best thing for you? And what I mean by that is,
no, it's very valuable, like everything that we talked about and stuff. But I definitely just want to, just take one step back, look at the video you sent me, look at all the other, because I've seen on the
other things you could do is you could attack the language. Okay, like, one that keeps on coming up is but. It's like, and I can definitely appreciate like where you're coming from, and you could hop off this call. You definitely could. But can I share a perspective, or something like, well, can I share why that might not be the best thing for you without you getting upset at me? Because especially when we're talking about becoming the person who we need to be. What Adam, and again, if they're really bought into like, the actual like influencer, I would use the influencer. If they're not, then you can use somebody else. But let's say they're really bought in. And it's like, what Adam really taught me is, like, as an entrepreneur, as somebody who is like, who's achieved financial freedom, one of the biggest shifts he had to make is how he spoke. Now, why is that? Because the way you speak to someone is the way you speak to yourself. And I notice a word that keeps coming up. It's but. Yeah, I know it's very valuable. I know I want to do it, but. Yeah, I need to take that step, but. Now, if we are going to be that business owner who's financially free, who's no longer a burden, I do have to ask, can we use that word, but? Well, why not? So would you be actually willing to change it instead of but into, I know it's very valuable, and how can I make it work? But what if you don't, though? Right? So it's like, we can attack the language. That's what I'll do all the time. Right? I'll attack the language. But again, like, we just got to be very intently listening to what they're saying and customize whatever the objection handling is to them. So just from hearing this, a couple big things I would say to work on. Well, actually, let me listen to the rest of it.
On Adam's Instagram profile, like, you guys post like results and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So,
You know,
'Cause
I
if
really
it's-
appreciate the introduction that you gave me, the plan, everything.
Yeah.
You really laid it out very perfectly, very clear for me.
And it just doesn't start with like a perfect cookie cutter course and like how we're gonna get you A to B. Because at the end of the day, it's
Yeah.
also about being a better person. Because like you can give somebody the perfect diet plan to get them a 6-pack abs, but if they have a bad mindset, what results are they gonna get?
Yeah, that's true.
No, I didn't ask you if
Well,
it's
I
true or not.
really,
What
really
what
appreciate
results
it.
are they gonna get, my dear?
Not good.
Why not?
Not good results.
Why not?
Because while yes, I'll be the first person to tell you it is about skill.
So not good results. Why not?
But like I was just saying, it's about being a better person. Because the reason we're
Yeah.
able to get clients such high results is because we have the tough conversations like these. Because sometimes you need someone besides yourself to believe in you and to actually push you. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to wake up, become the business owner that's finally ready to take action and make 6 figures in a night. Hasn't happened yet, and I've yet to see it happen with anyone successful. But it's not about like the decisions or the time or the money or anything like that. It's about who you actually need to become in order to secure that spot at your future table, the table that provides financial freedom. So if we are actually committed to becoming a business owner who is seen as independent and has the authority and is financially free, what choices and decisions does that person make?
Really big and hard ones. I
Yeah.
want to take a little, just,
Yeah, and I
today
can
to
definitely
reflect on
appreciate
it. And yeah,
Yeah, they
you know,
take
but
big and
I'll
hard decisions.
I have your number, so I'll definitely be contacting you later
Yeah,
today.
my dear.
I'll shoot you a message.
Glendy, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you take a deep breath for me?
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to be okay, my dear.
Okay.
Because if we actually want to become that
It still cracks me up that you just call her my dear so many times.
person that makes those hard and difficult decisions, what choices do we need to make now so that we can slowly start becoming that person that does take action and that is able to make those difficult decisions when they arise?
Yeah. I mean, I get that. I really do. I
No,
just
and I
no, you
didn't ask
don't,
if you
though.
get it or not. It was a question.
to make those choices. I get that, like, those choices aren't going to be easy. They're not going to be comfortable, but I really want to just reflect on everything that you've told me, the notes that I've taken from everything, from the 3 steps, the education, implementation, and the networking part. And I really just, I don't, like, it would just make me feel a little bit more comfortable just to really reflect on everything we've talked about, watch the video, and, go from there.
And again, like that's totally fine, and you're definitely going to have a chance to do that. I just don't want you
Yeah.
to do that because it would make you more comfortable. Because I'll be the first person to tell you, like, starting this business, jumping into something like this, it's not going to be comfortable. There are going to be
Yeah,
some
I
scary
get
nights ahead
that.
of you.
But do you
So
get that?
if we actually want to
Yeah.
go out there and actually put everything else aside, like the steps we actually need to make to get out of our comfort zone are the ones that are the most uncomfortable. Would you agree you're a little uncomfortable right now?
Yes.
Yes. That means you're growing right now. So congratulations. But now if we actually want to
Thank you.
continue growing and actually grow into the person we need to become, we have to keep feeding ourselves into these uncomfortable situations. So at the end of the day, nothing can faze us. Because if we get to the edge of this moment and we just kind of back down, it's not going to do anything. Because like there's a major difference between like showing up to the gym and actually using the equipment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like if you think of like an overweight person and they walk into the gym and they looked at it, they spoke to the personal trainer, they're like, I think this is really good for me, but I'm just a little uncomfortable with like the people that are around me. So I just want to make sure like when I do sign up, I'm comfortable with like actually putting the work in. What, like if you were that personal trainer, what would you tell that person?
They need to keep pushing.
Yeah, but why?
Boom. Good frame. Good frame.
Because you're not going to get anywhere if you don't do anything about it.
Yeah. So how about you take your own advice?
Okay. So it's like, again, if we're morphing this to what her concern is, it's like, but what if she told you she wanted to push it off for an afternoon or a day? Like, what would you tell her? Get her to dispound that. Then it's like, why would you tell her that? Or you can go into consequence, because if she didn't listen to your advice, like, is she ever going to get to where she wants to be? Because if she left that gym thinking it's okay, not taking actions on her goals and pushing off for a day was okay, if she keeps that mentality, what type of results is she going to get? See, I have to attack the mentality of pushing this off for a day, pushing this off for an afternoon. You get what I mean?
My dear.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I really just wanna.
See, well, like, we didn't really attack the belief that this needs to be done today, or it's not okay to push this off for an afternoon or for a day.
Reflect a little bit and just look at all my options, look at all the payment options that they have, and see if also I can get some money.
Yeah, because like everything we spoke about aside, like, I can appreciate we want to look at the different payment options, but with everything we have right now, the 360 fits in our budgetary constraints, and it's also built in that we can pay it off sooner once we start making profit. So it is not so much about needing to look at the other plans, it's just about taking that first step, is getting you in. Because once you're in and you start doing the work, now it has to work. There's nothing else at this point. It's either you do the work or you don't. And if you do the work, I can guarantee you're going to see the results.
Okay, I appreciate that. I will definitely be contacting you later. I'm gonna look at everything.
Okay.
All right, my dear. I will send you over that email, making sure you have everything to recap over with, and then I'm coming back-to-back meetings starting at noon, which is coming up here in a couple minutes. So then from there, I'll give you a ring later tonight.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
And we help off the call. Okay, so we didn't close her. So biggest thing that I would say, biggest takeaways. Number one is really making sure we're drilling down on consequence. That's number one. Make it real and make it immediate, right? Like, having longer term consequences is good, but having short term consequences that are urgent, so much better. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, take your time. Get her to dig down deeper. Don't move on until we get her buy-in on the frames that we're using. Get her buy-in on the payment plans. Get her buy-in on all this different stuff. Like, a lot of what came about was us just moving on too quick, or us assuming, us not clarifying different aspects, and then some of our frames didn't hit the way that they should have, is because we didn't have all the right information. You get what I mean? So because we didn't have the right information, we didn't customize our frames. And even when we did have the right information, we didn't customize our frames too. So I would say number three, making sure that the frames that we use, like, it's good to have like the generic version of like different frames and analogies and all these things you can put people into, but they got to expand or contract or morph to the person you're talking to and what are their real objections. Okay, so that'd be three, just making sure we're customizing what we're doing. Last, just understand the belief that you are attacking. Nobody says you need to go fast. Understand the belief you're attacking and spend your time attacking that belief. This big belief that she has is it's okay to push this off for a day. It's okay to push this off for an afternoon, right? She just needs to look at it. She's going to make a decision, right? She's not gonna be in the same position in 15 years. Like, no, I'm going to make the decision. I just need a few days, right? I need an afternoon. I just need to look at this stuff, right? Like, that's the belief. Like, that's the belief that we didn't attack. And we kept attacking of, well, taking the step, which we already have her buy-in that she knows she needs to take the step. Then from there, it's just like, when do you need to take the step? Not that I need to, it's when do you need to? So those will be the biggest things that overall, man, good that you stayed in the pocket. So let's talk about good things. You stayed in the pocket. You called her out where you needed her to. There's probably a couple areas you could have got there quicker, but like, you did. You called it out. You understand, like, hey, this isn't making any sense. What's going on here? Okay. Your tone, your pacing, really good. You could tell there's a good connection here, and you got buy-in on the things that you needed to. So those things are good, and those things have improved quite a bit. Now we just got to think. Like, I would go back and I would rewatch this call too with my feedback and just think where this came up, as far as like her being able to push this off for a day, and where could we have addressed it sooner? I pointed out a couple areas, but you can even go back in the discovery and you can see, did this come up in the discovery? Maybe not, probably not, typically with an objection like that, but you can see. And then you can also see, especially the very first thing we looked at was consequence. right? It's crazy how it all ties in. So our consequence was like very far out. So it's like, where is the urgency to do that today? You get what I'm saying? Especially with younger people, the closer you can bring the consequence is going to be the better. Just so there's more urgency for them to do something today. Yes, 15 years from now, it's going to be shit. But tomorrow, it's also going to be shit. So what do you need to do, right? So hopefully that was valuable. Drop your biggest takeaway in the comments. And if you want to learn how to actually pre-handle and prevent these objections by selling to people's identity, go ahead and watch this video right here.